And then if a private security officer, because they're not officers really, so that's wrong. If a private security agents, which they call police, because they're not elected, so they're not officers, stops a person, whether you call them citizen or not, stops a person and asks that person where is their license, well, the person should also ask them where's your delegation of authority order, because that's where they're supposed to have received certified authority from the Congress of the United States, Republican form of government, that they have a right to even question the citizens under limited conditions.
Can you please identify yourself, please? Do you have a delegation of authority order? Sir, you have delegation of... Sure, okay. And a delegation of authority order.
Police officer, here
yes.
You go.
Okay.
Let me show you my...
and you also have your delegation of authority order, correct?
Identify. You don't have any tag on.
Sir, you have yet to identify yourself.
I'm a Baltimore County police officer.
Okay, can I see some ID, please?
What kind of ID would you like?
I would like to see a picture of you and also a delegation of... Sure, okay. And a delegation of authority order. That is what authorizes you to be in... Okay, now that's not a delegation of authority order.
This is my police ID issued by Baltimore County.
I understand that.
Do you have a driver's license or not?
Sir.
Yes.
Do you have a delegation of authority?
What is a delegation of authority order? Tell me, explain that to me.
That is what authorized you to enforce the law. And
delegation, let me look for it for you real quick.
Okay. It would not be that size. And
delegation, let me look for it for you real quick.
Okay. It would not be that size.
How big would it be?
It would be something that you would have to carry.
How about my Maryland Police Training Commission certificate and training standards?
Delegation of authority order.
Okay, so let's get into this. Throughout the entire 90-minute video in which Taj is discussing delegation of authority orders, at no point does he provide any citations or documentations that prove his claim that law enforcement officers, police officers, are required to carry the delegation of authority order from Congress. Now, if such a requirement really did exist in the law, it would be codified in the United States Code. And I want you guys to do this experiment for yourself so you can verify that this is true. You go to the Office of Law Revision Council United States Code website, which allows you to search every single federal law that is codified by Congress. And if you search for delegation of authority order, absolutely nothing will come up. These delegation of authority order letters that Taj is referring to, and which Corrin Gaines was asking for during her traffic stop, which eventually led to a situation in which he was shot and killed by police. These orders do not exist. They are something that Taj Bey has invented and has brainwashed God knows how many people into believing that police are required to carry them. Now then, if we continue our search and move on to a search engine that looks through court cases, court decisions, and stick in delegation of authority order, what shows up is about 30 cases of Moors trying this delegation of authority order argument in court and losing. And we're just going to run through a few of these cases as examples. Number 1, State of Tennessee v. Antonio McMiller. This is from July 18, 2016, so this was just last month. You can read the case if you want, but the summary is this is a guy who was selling cocaine outside of school and got sentenced to 20 years in jail. And here's the relevant section of the transcript. Once again, none of them can be a jury. This is Antonio speaking. None of these are my peers, and I want to state for the record that the judge has told me that he does not need a delegation of authority order from Congress stating that he can hold this courtroom. That's the only way you can have a courtroom. I don't know if you all know the Constitution, but you cannot go against the Constitution. My name is Antonio Azim Bey. What was the other one? I've made no request. I sent in a writ of affidavit asking for the DOA from Congress stating that you can hold this courtroom. You have to be an Article 3 judge. That states that in the Constitution, Section 1. Example number 2, William Lincoln Jr. v. David Owens. This is from March 8th, 2016. Again, a little summary. This is the guy that was selling heroin, and he got sentenced to 5 years in jail in New Jersey. Quote, he alleged Camden County Superior Court was without jurisdiction without him. Quote, Judge Kelly was unable to produce quote, the delegation of authority order signed by an Article 3 judge in written form, produce a 1099 form, and produce the injured party who made a claim against me. Petitioner claimed that the court was without jurisdiction over him because the judge did not produce his items. Obviously, this argument did not work in court. Next one, Jimmy Lee Green v. Warden Brad Hooks. This is from Georgia, November 6, 2015. This guy was convicted of armed robbery, aggravated assault, possession of firearm during felony, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Here is what he argued in court. Quote, in ground one, nominally a due process claim, Green alleges in raw, unedited form that, quote, I shows common law jurisdiction. The court proceeded in admiralty. I had a right to face my accuser. That was denied. No affidavit of fact, which I requested. No delegation of authority order. I did not consent to the court's jurisdiction. I never gave a name. I requested the International Maritime Contract in dispute. I requested the court to state the proper jurisdiction and denied my request for a change of venue. This was the court's response, quote, nothing about any of his claims make any sense, much less presents a violation of the Constitution or laws or treaties of the United States, because it plainly appears that Green is not entitled to relief. The court must dismiss the petition. Next one, Charles Arnell Smith-Bay. Petitioner, this is from Southern Division District of Maryland, October 6, 2015. And yes, we're going in reverse chronological order. Mr. Smith-Bay was convicted of second-degree physical child abuse in the Circuit Court for Charles County, Maryland on March 2014. He was sentenced to 5 years in jail, so he's still in jail. Quote, affording his self-represented petitioner a generous construction, Smith-Bay claims that he was deprived of his right to his nationality as a Moorish American national and consul of the land and exercise of his religion secured by the de jure constitutional and treaty law. Smith-Bay further alleges that he was misrepresented as Charles Smith, black African-American male. He concludes by stating that in July 2014, he submitted an affidavit making a plea to the jurisdiction of Judge Naley, challenging the jurisdiction of the Circuit Court for Charles County, Maryland, and demanding proof of the, quote, delegation of authority order that grants them jurisdiction. This was the court's response. Smith-Bay's purported status as a Moorish American citizen does not enable him to violate state laws without consequence. Thus, the argument that a person is entitled to ignore the laws of the state of Maryland by claiming membership in the Moorish American nation is without merit. L.V. Mayor of City of New York, 2014. Quote, laws of the United States apply to all persons within its borders. Even if petitioner were not a citizen of the United States, though he is, having been born here, he would be obliged to respect the laws of this nation. United States v. James, 2003. Next one, Johnny L. Durden, Jr. This is United States Northern District of Florida, October 6, 2015. Mr. Durden is a registered sex offender and currently in jail. Here is what he argued in court, quote, plaintiff provides the following factual basis for this lawsuit, quote, Galloway placed me in jail without delegation of authority order, nor any sworn complaint of an injured party March 1st, 2015. Galloway is in dishonor for failure to respond to affidavits of fact. Now, this is the court's response, quote, the 10th Amendment provides, quote, powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. U.S. Constitution Amendment X. Plaintiff's allegation that Officer Galloway placed him in jail without a delegation of authority order states no plausible claim for relief under Section 1983. Neither the 10th Amendment nor any other constitutional amendment required Officer Galloway to secure a delegation of authority order before placing plaintiff in jail. See U.S. Constitutional Amendment 4th. So there we have it in black and white. No, police officers do not require delegations of authority. Next one, State of Tennessee v. Tabitha Gentry, aka Abka Rebay. This is from August 2015. Tabitha was convicted of 2 counts of aggravated assault and 1 count of intentionally evading arrest in an automobile. She was sentenced to 14 years and 10 days in jail. Now, in court, quote, the defendant repeatedly stated that she was a sovereign citizen, in particular a Moorish American, and protested the court's jurisdiction and trial judge's authority. Several times the defendant asked that the trial court produce a delegation of authority order signed by Congress. She frequently interrupted the trial judge and at one point demanded the judge pay her $30,000 per day for being in prison. Obviously, this did not work, and Tabitha is still in jail.